When an injury occurs on the job, knowing whether it's OSHA recordable, how to record it, when to post it, and when to file it, it's super important. Now, if you're in the construction industry and work as a commercial subcontractor, you may have noticed an increased emphasis on your OSHA log when submitting a bid or a quote. The thing is, many general contractors use your OSHA 300 as a reflection of your safety practices and your company's overall management. High injury rates are interpreted as ineffective safety policies and inadequate employee training. So, while adhering to OSHA compliance and recording standards is crucial, it's important not to record unnecessary injuries so you can avoid creating false impressions that can adversely impact your bid success. Now, even if you're not in construction, it's still important to manage your OSHA log and injuries correctly. First off, we need to become familiar with how OSHA defines first aid, because only injuries beyond first aid need to be recorded. And OSHA's definition of first aid is probably a little different than you'd expect. For example, if your employee gets injured, they go to the doctor and they receive an x-ray, an MRI, a tetanus shot, and a steri-strip to close a wound. All this is considered first aid according to OSHA. And these things don't need to go on your log. Let me say that again. An x-ray, MRI, tetanus shot, and steri-strip are all first aid according to OSHA, and therefore they don't need to be recorded on your OSHA log. Now let me try to quickly go through what OSHA considers first aid. If your injured employee goes to the doctor and only receives the following care or a combination of the following types of care, you do not need to record the injury unless it falls under one of the other recordable criteria that we'll go over next. So here we go. OSHA considers the following as first aid: using a non-prescription medication at non-prescription strength, receiving a tetanus shot or other immunizations such as hepatitis B vaccine or rabies vaccine are all considered first aid. Cleaning, flushing, or soaking wounds on the surface of the skin, using wound covering bandages such as gauze pads, band-aids, butterfly bandages, or steri-strips, using hot or cold therapy, using any kind of non-rigid means of support such as elastic bandage wraps, non-rigid back belts, etc., using temporary immobilization devices while transporting an accident victim, which would be like splints, slings, neck collars, backboards, drilling a fingernail or toenail to relieve the pressure or to drain fluid from a blister, using eye patches, removing foreign bodies from the eye, using only irrigation or a cotton swab, removing splinters or foreign material from areas other than the eye by irrigation, tweezers, cotton swabs, or other simple means, using finger guards, using massage, physical therapy, chiropractic treatments are all considered medical treatment for record-keeping purposes, but first aid with OSHA. Drinking fluids for relief of heat stress, and diagnostic procedures such as x-rays, MRIs, blood tests, and EKGs. Now remember, if the injury is bad enough to go to the doctor, you still need to complete a first report of injury and file a work comp claim, but you might not need to record it on your OSHA log. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, now let's go over the 5 categories of injuries and illnesses that are recordable. The first one, any work-related injury or illness requiring medical treatment beyond first aid. And we just talked about first aid. Any work-related death, any work-related injury or illness that results in loss of consciousness, days away from work, restricted work, or transfer to another job. And finally, any work-related diagnosed case of cancer, chronic irreversible diseases, fractured or cracked bones or teeth, and punctured eardrums. There are also particular recording criteria for work-related cases involving needle sticks and sharps injuries, medical removal, hearing loss, and tuberculosis. Now, one of the best ways to reduce OSHA recordable injuries outside the obvious safety and injury prevention stuff, is to work with a knowledgeable occupational medicine doctor or facility and make them aware of your desire to keep injuries off your log. Providing an injured employee with over-the-counter pain meds instead of prescription and closing a wound with a steri-strip instead of a suture are some of the things your occupational medicine facility will keep in mind when providing treatment. A great website to reference regarding OSHA's record keeping is osha.gov/recordkeeping. Now, OSHA requires you to accurately complete and file your OSHA 300 by March 2nd and to file it electronically if you're over 20 employees. Also remember to post your OSHA 300A form from the month of February 1st to April 30th. Now, to make all this easier, I would suggest going to OSHAlogmanagement.com, where you can gain access to one of the best OSHA log management softwares available. Trust me, it's going to make your life a whole lot easier. Now, before we go, let's do a quick self-assessment. Ask yourself the following questions. Do we know what injuries need to be recorded on our OSHA log and which ones don't? Are we filing our OSHA log every year by March 2nd? Are we filing it electronically if we're over 20 employees? Are we posting our OSHA 300A form annually from February 1st to April 30th? And do we post it in a common area where all employees can see? Do we know the difference between the OSHA 300, the 300A, and the 301 and know how to fill them out correctly? Should we look into using software like OSHAlogmanagement.com to make our lives easier? Understanding OSHA log compliance is important to all businesses because non-compliance can lead to OSHA citations and financial penalties. Lastly, please remember, as your company grows, you're going to have more clients, more assets, more employees, and more obligations, which means you're going to have more risk. And therefore, you need more than just business insurance. You need to add risk management. Now, risk insurance is a blend of risk management and business insurance that's designed to make your life easier. So let us know how we can help and stay safe out there.